Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss the remaining portion of the female reproductive system. In the last lecture we will discuss the histology of the ovaries. Now we will discuss the oviduct, which is also known as the uterine tube. It is a muscular tube which is 12 cm long. It is the site of fertilization. Upper end opens into the peritoneal cavity near ovary, while lower end passes through the uterus wall. It has 4 segments: intramural part in the uterine wall, isthmus is adjacent to the uterine wall, ampulla, a dilated part, and the last part is the infundibulum, which is funnel shaped part near the ovary with fimbria. This is the diagram of the uterine tube. You can see here the first part, infundibulum with the fimbria. Then we have the constricted part, isthmus, then ampulla, then intramural part. Mucosa of the oviduct has many longitudinal folds which are pronounced in the ampulla. Mucosa has simple columnar epithelium consisting of ciliated cell and non-ciliated Pecks cell. Ciliated cells are numerous near ovarian end of the tube, while Pecks cells are secretory cells that produce a watery tubal fluid, contains normal serum proteins, chloride and potassium ions. Cilia near the ovary beat towards uterus, but cilia near the uterus beat towards ovary. Lamina propria composed of the loose connective tissue. Muscularis consists of poorly defined inner circular and outer longitudinal layer of smooth muscles. Muscularis peristaltic movements with the beating of the cilia of the epithelium help to propel oocyte to the uterus. It has serosa, which is a connective tissue layer lined by simple squamous epithelium containing blood vessels and nerves. This is the histological diagram of the oviduct. In this diagram with the EP, you can see the epithelium. This is a simple ciliated columnar epithelium. Some cells with the cilia and some with the no cilia, and you can appreciate the Pecks cells. Then we have the lamina propria. Here you can see the connective tissue fibers and the blood vessels. Again, this is a diagram showing the Pecks cells and the ciliated columnar cells. You can see the protruding cells with the arrows, small arrows. These are the Pecks cells. Basement membrane is shown with the BM and LP for the lamina propria. Again, in this diagram you can see here again the ciliated cell. Now come to the uterus. Uterus is a pear-shaped structure attached to the oviduct at upper end and to the vagina at the lower end. It is divided into the 3 regions: body, fundus and the cervix. Wall of the body and fundus has 3 layers: endometrium, myometrium, adventitia or serosa. This is the structure of the uterus. You can see here from inside to outside there are 3 layers of the wall of the uterus: endometrium, myometrium or adventitia. Anterior portion of the body covered by the adventitia, which is composed of areolar connective tissue. The remaining portion of the uterus covered by serosa, composed of a layer of simple squamous cells resting on an areolar connective tissue. What is myometrium? Myometrium is the thickest layer and composed of 4 poorly defined layers of smooth muscle separated by connective tissue. Inner and outer layers are mostly longitudinal in orientation. Middle layer are highly vascularized and consist of mostly circularly arranged bundles of smooth muscle cells. Arcuate artery is located in this layer and is known as the stratum vascularis. Middle layer thicken during pregnancy with more and large smooth muscle cells, means hyperplasia and hypertrophy, and increased collagen fibers. This layer is estrogen dependent. In the absence of estrogen, smooth muscle cell atrophies and some begin to apoptosis. So in the myometrium, we concluded there are almost 4 poorly defined layers, with the inner and the outer are the longitudinal, while middle are the circularly arranged muscle fibers. In case of endometrium, which is the innermost layer, is mucosal lining of the uterus composed of simple columnar epithelium. It has ciliated columnar cells and secretory columnar cells. Lamina propria is composed of dense irregular connective tissue, and vessels supports the epithelium and houses simple tubular glands. The glands have not ciliated cells. It has two zones, functional layer and the basal layer. This is the diagram. You can see here the glands with the GL, simple tubular glands. Above is the epithelium, simple columnar epithelium. Then there are the poorly defined muscular layers, inner longitudinal and the middle circular layer. Endometrial layers, functional layer is a thick superficial layer sloughed off during menstruation and replaced during each menstrual cycle. Functional layer vascularized by coiled helical arteries that originate from the arcuate arteries in stratum vasculaire. Basal layer is a deep narrow layer retained after menstruation whose gland epithelium and connective tissue element regenerate functional layer. Basal layer supplied by short straight arteries which originate from arcuate arteries in stratum vasculaire. Again, this is the diagram showing the epithelium, glands and the inner longitudinal layer. With the F you can see there is the functional layer and B for the basal layer. In case of the functional layer, this is sloughed off during menstruation, but basal layer well retained. Also the arteries are shown in the functional layer and the basal layer. Now comes to the menstrual cycle. Estrogen and progesterone from ovary stimulate changes in the endometrium. The average menstrual cycle is 28 days. Begins about 12 to 15 years of age. It has mainly three phases: menstrual phase of 1 to 4 days, proliferative phase, which is also known as the follicular phase, extends from the 5 to 14 days, ovulation around 14 days, and secretory phase or luteal, it extends from 15 to 28 days. In case of the proliferative or the follicular phase, which extends from the 5 to 15 days up to the ovulation, estrogen produced by the thecal cells of the ovarian follicle and cells of the gland bases proliferate, forming simple columnar epithelium and tubular glands of the endometrium. So this proliferative phase as starts after the menstrual phase, so there is need of the renewal of the epithelium, which is done by the estrogen, which is produced by the thecal cells of the ovarian follicle. Connective tissue cells resultantly will proliferate in the lamina propria. Coiled arteries grow into regenerated lamina propria. Functionalis of the endometrium become 2 to 3 millimeter thick, and glands have straight tubes with narrow lumens, but their cells accumulate glycogen. At the day 14, the functional layer has been fully restored. This is showing the proliferative phase. Here is the proliferation. You can see there is the restoration of the epithelium and the lamina propria. Then we have the secretory phase, which begins after the ovulation, means day 15 to 28. Corpus luteum forms and produce the progesterone. Glands develop further become highly coiled, branched, and begin to secrete. Coiled arteries also attain full development. Endometrium reaches 5 mm in thickness due to edema and accumulated glycogen secretions of the gland. You can see here the luteal phase. Here the glands are coiled. There you can see here the glands are coiled. Thickness is increased to 5 mm and there is increased glycogen secretion collection or deposition. If pregnancy doesn't occur, then definitely the corpus luteum will degenerate and now the menstrual phase will begin. If progesterone and estrogen decreases, causing coiled arteries to intermittently constrict, cutting off blood flow to the functional layer of the endometrium. Endometrial cells die and the functional layer is sloughed off. As I told you earlier, that the functional layer of the endometrium is sloughed off in the menstrual phase, while the basal layer retain its blood supply and be there. Then coiled arteries dilate once again because they are weakened, they rupture. The discharged blood removes patches of the functional layers advances. Vessels distal to the constrictions are shed with the functional layer, causing some bleeding. About 35 ml of the blood loss during menstrual phase. You can see here the menstrual phase. There is the shedding of the epithelium and thickness is also reduced. Then comes to the uterine cervix. Cervix is the lower part of the uterus that protrude into the vagina. It is lined by the simple columnar epithelium and part of the cervix in upper vagina has the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Lamina propria composed of mostly dense connective tissue and many elastic fibers and diffuse smooth muscle cells. Mucosa do not slough off during menstruation. Cervical mucosa contain branched cervical glands. At the time of ovulation, cervical glands secrete a serous fluid and at the time of secretion become viscous and during pregnancy forming a plug. Softening of cervix during parturition is due to lysis of collagen. Now vagina, it has the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium which lies the vaginal mucosa. Estrogen stimulates epithelium to synthesize glycogen. Mucosa has no glands but increment of fluid during sexual arousal is due to transudate from vessel of lamina propria and secretion of cervical glands. Underlying the lamina propria composed of loose connective tissue that highly vascularized with many elastic fibers. Muscular layer of circular and prominent longitudinal smooth muscle fibers are there. Adventitia of dense irregular connective tissue with elastic fibers, many vessels and vast venous plexus and nerves. You can see here the structure of the vagina. Stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium is there. Not properly arranged smooth muscle fiber layers, and this is the cervix. Then female urethra is about 5 cm in length. Its epithelium is transitional near the bladder and stratified squamous non-keratinized in the remainder portion. Patches of pseudostratified columnar is interspersed. Lamina propria is fibroelastic connective tissue and mucus secreting glands of litter are numerous along its length. Muscular layers is composed of an outer circular and inner longitudinal smooth muscle fibers. When urethra pierces urogenital diaphragm, a sphincter of skeletal muscles surround it. Now comes to the external genitalia, where vulva. External genitalia mainly consists of the mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoria, Bartholin glands, minor vestibular glands, and hymen. Mons pubis is the Overlying symphysis pubis covered by skin that underneath it is a pad of fat. Labia majora skin folds with an adipose core and a thin layer of smooth muscles. Skin with coarse hair on their external surface, sweat and sebaceous glands, many nerve fibers are there. Labia minora are folds of skin without hair and with core of spongy connective tissue with elastic fibers. Skin with the sebaceous and sweat glands and many nerve fibers. Clitoris is embryonic homologous of the penis, containing two erectile tissue covered by stratified squamous epithelium and heavily innervated. Bartholin glands are mucus secreting glands with ducts opening into the vestibule of vagina. Minor vestibular glands are also opened into the vestibule. Hymen is a thin fold of epithelially enclosed fibrovascular connective tissue that narrow the orifice of vagina inversion. Now comes to the mammary glands. They consist of 15 to 25 lobes of compound tubuloacinar glands similar to the apocrine sweat glands. They secrete secretion by the apocrine mechanism, means lipids and proteins are there in their secretion. Each lobe is surrounded by dense irregular connective tissue and adipose tissue. Connective tissue surrounding the acini has many plasma cells and lymphocytes. They are sources of milk immunoglobulins. Each lobe has its own duct leading into the lactiferous duct of the nipple. Interlobular ducts have simple cuboidal epithelium surrounded by myoepithelial cells. Lactiferous sinus is lined by stratified squamous epithelium that changes to stratified columnar or cuboidal deeper in the lactiferous ducts. Glandular cells will proliferate during pregnancy. This is the diagram of the mammary gland. You can see here the different acini, and these are covered by the dense irregular connective tissue. Areola is a circular, highly pigmented skin around the nipple. Color darkens during pregnancy due to increased melanin production by the melanocytes. It contains sweat and sebaceous gland and also areolar gland or Montgomery that resemble both sweat and mammary glands. Nipple is a protuberance at the center of the areola that is covered by stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. Terminal portion of the lactiferous ducts end at the nipple. The core of the nipple is composed of dense collagenous connective tissue with abundant elastic fibers connected to the skin. Abundant smooth muscle fibers arranged in circular way around the nipple and in longitudinal way along long axis of the nipple. You can see here the diagram with the glands. This was all about today. Thank you.